101 review. Book 101 is about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is the author of the Radiant Gate series, no other than Mr. Nate Blevens.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Mr. Nate on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Well, sure. My name's Nate. Hello, everybody. I've been writing the Stradian Gate series for, I want to say, about 4 years now. Each of the books that I've written and released has taken a couple of years just for all the world building. But it's been a blast to write this sci-fi dystopian adventure series.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Nate. Thank you. And today, let's talk about your series. The Steradian Gate is fascinating and hints at the hard science. What is a Steradian in the context, and how does this specific geometric concept from the foundation of your universe method of travel or communication or
Sure.
connection itself?
So the Stradian Gate in my series is it's a portal. It shifts whoever is holding the Steradian key, which is pictured on the front of the cover. It shifts them between dimensions. And so the gate itself is sort of just a doorway, if you will. And you'll notice on the picture of the book, there is a bunch of glyphs on the outer ring, and that twists around sort of like a clock or a lock or anything like that. And you just twist it into the proper combination that you want for the specific dimension that you want to go to, and it shifts you over there. Excuse me.
To shift. Okay, I
hmm
like that. Interesting, Mr. Nate. To shift you to the other side of the universe. The best sci fi often use a big idea as a lens to explore humanity. Beyond the thrilling plot, what is the central philosophical of human question you're exploring through the concept of the gate?
So what it is it actually follows Ethan Burke, and we get a feel for him and his family, as well as someone who he meets named Summer, and she's also got a lot of family ties in the book, where we learn about how her brother has been kidnapped, and so this leads the characters to going into this other dimension to try and save him.
This series creates a complex universe. What was the initial spark? A character, an image, or a scientific theory that made you say, I have to build a series around this?
So I would say that primarily what I wanted to do is pass down different values. So a lot of times we see that there isn't really family-oriented material in modern era entertainment. Like you'll see that the dad's kind of a bumbling oaf. You'll see the single mother. You'll see the kids constantly disrespecting their parents. This seems to be constant themes in the modern era, and I wanted to kind of give a reverse of that and kind of give an idea to the audience of, hey, there are actually families that care about each other out there, and this is what they would do in those instances should chaos erupt.
How do you balance the need for rigorous, believable scientific concept with the narrative dive or drive of a compelling story, Mr. Knight? Do you ever have a sacrifice scientific accuracy for the sake of plot or character?
I try to keep it as close to scientifically plausible. For instance, in the sequel, I try to go into how the key and the dimensional shifting actually works in a plausible way. And so I had to delve into like quantum dynamics. And so I'm going quite deep into this and trying to make it sound plausible to the best of my abilities. But it's Also a little bit of a stretch because, as far as we know, there aren't multiple dimensions in reality, but I guess you never know, right?
You never know, for sure. And the universe of the Steradian Gate feels vast and ancient. How did you approach designing the different fractions, culture, and histories to make them feel real and live in rather than just a backdrop of the action?
Sure. So, what I wanted to do, the first dimension that they visit is called Lunaria, and it's technologically a century behind us. So, it's like 1930s-ish, roughly. And what we're doing in this era is I, I decided to go ahead and make it to where the further away from the city you are, the further back in time it feels like you're going. So when Ethan and Summer first come upon a small town, they're going to feel more like it's almost like the 1700s. And as they get closer and closer to a big city, there's more technologies available, and you get closer to that 1930s feeling.
1930s feeling. Okay, interesting, Mr. Nate. So let's talk about unplot and narrative structures. Weaving a multi-book arc is a monumental task. Without spoilers, can you describe your process for plotting the series? Do you have every detail map out from the start, or did the story surprise you belong or along the way?
So I'm in the middle of the rough draft of book three. And from the get-go, it was a lot of attempting to structure and world build exactly what I wanted with that first book, that first dimension. And then when the second one, I was working on that, I wanted the dimension that they're visiting, Alchemilla, to feel completely different. So each one of these dimensions they'll go to in the series is going to be vastly different from one another. Different hardships, different ways that the main villains, the Creever Resterna, interact with them. Um, but whereas I structured the first two books as much as I possibly could, I found that with the rough draft of the third, the characters have kind of taken over a little bit, and they've taken me out of the outline completely, and I've had to kind of rethink the way things are working and make it a little bit more engaging than what I'd initially thought. And it's like plot twists for the author, if that makes sense. It just kind of they write themselves sometimes, and the characters. It's like, well, no, the character would probably do it this way, or the character would do it that way, and we get to learn a lot more history of the character in doing so.
A gate or portal is a classic sci-fi trope.
hmm
What did you consciously to do make a Sterdian gate feel fresh, unique, and central to the story we have not read before?
So what I wanted to do is I took the method that they are transported, and instead of it just kind of being a slip gate, like what you see in a lot of different sci-fi, I wanted it to sort of encompass them. So they're going to be in the middle of a light dome that surrounds the key and anybody who is around them, like maybe like 10 feet diameter. And where I got the word steradian from, it's actually a geometric term where it is the measurement of a cone from the center of a sphere to the outer layer of that sphere. And what I decided to do is use that and sort of like make it that there's a not just a swirling wind, but there's actually like a tornado inside of there that presses up against the surface of that light dome. And then it starts to funnel towards the very center, whoever's holding the key. And then like they actually lose some kind of gravitational pull and they go to anti-gravity for just a split second and then they're warped, and that dome of light actually burns circles wherever they do it. So I wanted to be a little bit different in the way it was handled, but also stick to the geometry understanding that I had, and I think it came out. I think it came out pretty good. At least I enjoyed it.
Yes. The series is known for its intricate plotting and suspense. How do you go about plot or planting clues and foreshadowing major reveals without making them too obvious or too obscure for the reader?
Uh, I think that sometimes I've had to go back and rewrite a few times. I'll have my beta readers give me some feedback, and they'll be like, "Well, this is just a little bit much here. I didn't quite understand this." So the first book, I think I wrote it a good 7 times before it came out to where I wanted it to be, and so it could be fully understood by anyone reading it. Um, so it was a matter of just rewriting what I thought would be necessary to do, just to make it better and more easier understood.
Yes. And Mr. Nate, what has been the challenging scene, sequence, or concept to write in the entire series so far? And why is it such a difficult puzzle to solve?
I think for me, one of the most difficult things to write is the physical hand-to-hand combat, because you don't want to just continuously repeating he punched or she punched or he kicked, etc., because that gets to be a bit dry, especially when this is a type of game that's based on a lot of other action movies and video games as well. It's like, yeah, that's what they're doing, but how do you describe it differently each time? Because there's going to be multiple punches and kicks in a fight sequence. So you want to make sure that it's believable and not boring to the reader.
Yes, definitely. And on character and motivation, Mr. Nate, who is the
Yes.
protagonist of the series and what is the core flow of the internal struggle they must to overcome, which is magnified or tested by the existence of Steradian Gate?
So the main struggle that the two characters are going to deal with are twofold. Number one, when they get to Lunaria, they have no idea what's in store for them, what's going on. Uh, they just are there trying to figure out what happened to Summer's brother. And so what they're doing is figuring out what's happened to this world where it's been taken over by a regime called the Creever Resterna, and what that means to them and how they're going to have to survive in order to not just get home, but also save the brother. And getting home is the second port that is going to be their problem sequence, because they have to have a special combination in order to get home, and they don't have that when they get there.
A great hero needs a great antagonist. Without giving away too much, what makes your villain compelling? What is their motivation? And what ways do they believe that they are the hero of their own story?
So there is the Creever Resterna, and they are led by a man named Sovereign Russick. And he considers himself almost like a god, and that he must be the one that takes all the dimensions and has them underfoot. And then below him, he has czars. And the czars are sort of like his extra guard who go out and do his bidding and make sure that they're, you know, keeping everybody to heal. And the main czar that we learn about in the first book is named Dwill. And he is just kind of this snarky guy with a bad attitude constantly. He is almost to the point where he is wanting to uh, maybe usurp Russick in some way. He thinks he's too good to follow the instructions sometimes, and he does things his own way when he shouldn't be.
If you could step through the Steradian gate and have a conversation with one of your own characters, what would it be and what would you ask them?
Ooh, honestly, I think what I would do is, for the first book, I would want to talk to Fletcher, and he is the leader of a resistance cell in a town called Kinsford. You get to meet them a ways into the book, but we get to learn about all of those and the resistance, how they're surviving. And I would ask him what his plans are in order to fully push back against the Creever Resterna, because they've not only taken over his city or his country, but they've started to permeate outside of Meraldi, the country they live in as well. And so that's a huge undertaking, and it's going to take a lot of manpower.
Definitely. And how do characters' personal journey and arcs reflect the larger thematic arcs of the series? For example, themes of discovery, power, responsibility, or the nature of consciousness.
So a lot of this is going to be focused on figuring out. Ethan discovers that he is what they call a catalyst, and only a few people are able to activate these Steradian keys. Again, that's the device pictured on the front of the first book. And he's trying to figure out exactly what it means to be a catalyst, what that power entails. And as we move into second book, uh, it we figure out that there's more to these keys than just being able to shift through the dimensions. There's going to be other powers that they have that they lend these catalysts. And so Ethan's having to learn a lot of responsibility very quickly.
Quickly, for sure, to reveal what is inside the secret. How do characters' personal journeys and arcs reflect the other series to come, like the third series?
Gotcha. So each of the books is a continuation, but what we learn from Ethan learning just about what it is to be a catalyst, he then goes into full training. So without giving away too much, he is going to be learning sword fighting as well as various guns, bows, etc. There's going to be a lot there, and he's starting from scratch. So, of course, over the course of the two books that are currently out, he's constantly training and learning about what it means to be a part of these dimensions and what his role is in it. And I can't give away too much for book three, but it's going to be a 4 to 5 book series, and there's going to be an overarching about who he was at the start and how he's getting to where he's going to be at the end. And it's going to be, I think, a really great journey for every reader to pay attention to.
On the writing craft and influences, the genre is often called hard science fiction. Who are your biggest literary or scientific influences in crafting this series, and in what ways did you shape your approach?
I would say my biggest is Michael Crichton. Um, I started reading his works with Jurassic Park back in middle school in the middle 90s. And then I read, I think, just about every single one of his books. And I just absolutely loved how he would take the ideas of modern science and make it sound plausible. And not only that, but actually, like, I think some of the stuff that he has talked about has happened to a certain degree. Like we see the de-extinction of the wolves, the dire wolves recently, and that's kind of akin to Jurassic Park where they brought them back, granted in different ways. But we see a lot of these technologies that he's written about before his passing in fiction, and there a lot of them are just they're coming reality. And I just always found that fascinating. And so, what I'm trying to do is pull that idea of bringing modern science and what we understand of that into my books and making them sound plausible. So, who knows, maybe in the future, those technologies will exist.
Definitely. Yeah. And Mr. Nate, as an author of this series, what are your short term and long term goals?
Short term goals, of course, are just to gain a readership. And long term goals is to get the series completely finished and out the door. I'm hoping by 2030, so another 5 years. And that should allow me the time to get the last 3 books done.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Nate. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be an author like you, especially series?
You know what? If you think you have a story to write, stick to it. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort. You're going to just have to roll with it, and you're going to have to go back. You're going to have to do rewrites, get opinions from your friends and family, get, objective opinions from beta readers, and let them help you out. And then always pay attention. It's not going to be just your story. You could have the best story in the world, but you also have to learn how to market.
Marketing is the hardest one to do, people. So, Mr. Nate, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in its third season, and food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101, love letters. Movie 101 Review, Music 101 are in fourth season, Science 101, Sex 101 in its second season of my baby podcast, Law 101, Mental Health 101, and Bible Verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Nate, now that you navigated the complexities of the universe, what's next for you? Are there other stories burning in your mind, or will you be exploring more within this universe?
I'm definitely going to explore more within this universe. I built it out to where it could be the main series, and then there could be side series, be it prequels or different focuses on different characters. But I'm also planning on going back and writing something for elementary age kids, something along the lines of like a Goonies meets Tintin kind of idea to get the early learning going.
Early learning and Mr. Nate Blevens. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world through your series. And can you please invite our listeners to support your series itself or any projects that you're doing right now?
Oh, please do. So the Steradian Gate and the Steradian Gate Contagion are both available wherever books are sold. By all means, jump into the adventure and enjoy it. And for keeping up on the series, you can join the newsletter at thesteradiangate.com.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Nate Blevens because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering series like this to come. So, Mr. Nate, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.